discussing causes of the World War One. In that, aggressive nationalism, imperialism, secret alliances completed. And fourth, it is militarism. These six powers, that is Germany, Austria, Great Britain, that is Britain, Russia, Italy, and France. These are the six powerful nations. They believed that militarism, that means the strong militarism, is the solution to the all problems. They believed that militarism will give security for their nations. So militarism is the belief that military power is the best way to ensure security and solve the problems. The six powerful nations felt to get security and to find solution to all the problems is the powerful military. So they wanted to increase their military power instead. So here, all these nations have gone for allotting a lot of money, that is a lot of funds on war preparation, that is military preparation. So from 1880 to 1914, the expenditure on militarism by the six powerful nations increased from 132 million pounds to 397 million pounds. So from 1880 to 1914, expenditure on militarism increased by 3 times. And there are three important things for the militarism. First is that all the countries, they build a large standing army for their security. This is the first point. That is what? Building a strong army, that is a massive standing army for their security. And second is that they competed. That means they entered in a race of increasing military weapons. That means war tankers, then atom bombs. These ammunitions, they increased with the competition. If the Britain increases much more military weapons, more than that, Germany have gone for what increasing. So we find there was a competition. There was a race among these six powerful nations for increasing the military weapons. And for that, they need the support of the people. So they encourage the people to give support for wars, because these six powerful nations wanted to expand their colonies. So in order to expand colonies, it is essential to increase the military weapons. And for increasing the military weapons, it is needed the people support. So they demanded the people and encouraged the people to support the water wars instead. This is the second point. And third is that for increasing the weapons, they focused on industries which produce weapons. Okay, so these are the three important things with militarism. Okay, the first one is building a strong army for their defense. Second is that there was a competition between these six powers. Okay, and third is, that is what you call establishment of industries of weapons, and they promoted the idea of war, that is the war is the solution for diplomatic problems. If there is a problem with the neighboring countries, the only solution to that problem is waging war on that nation. So they promoted the idea of war to find solution to the problems with other nations. So when they have strong military, they felt that they are strong, and that confidence made these nations to feel pride and wage war on other nations. In this way, the strong militarism created a war tension among the world countries and led to the war. Finally, it turned to the World War One. Okay, and another cause is Balkan politics. You know that Balkan is a peninsula. There we find many small kingdoms, and all these small kingdoms located at a Balkan peninsula belonging to various sections and speaking different languages. It means the people of many small kingdoms belonging to different languages were living there. And all these people living together under the rule of Ottoman Turkey. Ottoman Turkey, it is an empire established at Balkan Peninsula. So after the fall of Ottoman Turkey Empire, which was ruled by Sultan. So Sultan uh, was the ruler of the Ottoman Turkey Empire. So after the downfall of this Ottoman Turkey Empire, many of the small kingdoms they scattered and they tried to find supremacy at Balkan Peninsula. For example, after the fall of Turkey Empire, there some of the nations have started a competition for establishing supremacy on that area. Those were Austria, Germany, and Turkey, Russia. They entered in a competition to have supremacy over the Balkan Peninsula. So in this, Russia and Turkey, they controlled what to call the Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. Okay, they wanted to bring the area under their control, which is from the Black Sea to Mediterranean Sea instead. So here, Russia and Turkey trying to control the Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea regions for a long time. So there was always a tension in that region because it is a region where we find multi-religious people, multi-languages people. So among these multi-religious and multi-languages people, there was no unity. Okay. And how do they follow the unity when they have differences in their languages and what to call religion? Okay. So there was a tension around this region because every time there was a war on Balkan Peninsula to establish supremacy among those nations. So during this time, the Austria wanted to suppress the Serbian rebels who were in Bosnia, and they wanted to find freedom from the water rule of Austria because Austria was controlling many of the nations. There was a domination of Austria in the Balkan Peninsula. So Serbia, Bosnia, and other nations wanted to remove the domination of the Austria. So there, the enmity between Austria and Serbia created a war tension in the Balkan Peninsula, and this led to war of the World War One. So here, Balkan politics also become the cause for the World War One. Okay. The next is immediate cause. Immediate cause is different. It is what are the causes we have discussed? All those are the causes which led to the World War One for a long period. So those causes started for a long period, and the immediate cause means which started immediately. Okay, that what to call made the world nations to jump into the world wars. The why incident that is the assassination of Ferdinand, Franz Ferdinand, who was the crown prince of Austria on 28th June 1914. This date on 28th June 1914, we see there a Bosnian Serb, a Bosnian Serb. That means a person belonging to Bosnia living in Serbia is called Bosnian Serb, and such a person assassinated, that means killed the crown prince of Austria. Okay, what was the name of the crown prince? Ferdinand, Franz Ferdinand. He was the archduke. Duke means who was a leader of a dukedom. Okay, so for dukedom, Ferdinand was the duke, and he was the son of the Austrian Empire, Austrian king. So the crown prince Franz Ferdinand was assassinated by the Bosnian Serb on 28th June 1914. There, the Austria wanted to know that the cause for the assassination of the crown prince. So it passed an order that is asking the Serbia to give explanation for that one. Whereas the explanation given by Serbia was not satisfied to the Austria. So Austria declared war on Serbia on 28th July. See, there's 1 month of time. Okay. So on 28th July, there Austria declared war on Serbia instead. And with this, many of the nations entered supporting each other as per their defense pact, as per their secret alliances. Instead, they jumped. Serbia was on the side of the Britain. That means Serbia had a defense pact with Britain, France, and Russia. So when Serbia was in trouble, when Austria waged war on Serbia, Serbia was in trouble. So that there the Britain joined on the side of the water Serbia. Okay. When Britain joined there, here Austria have defense pact with the Germany. So Germany joined on the side of the water, Austria giving the support. So later we see France, Russia also entered in the war supporting the Serbia. And to support the Austria, Germany, Italy, and some more nations they joined. In this way, one after one, all the nations entered into the war but by the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, who was the crown prince of Austria. Okay, so this turned to the World War One when one after one all the nations have joined. Okay, so here some of the countries participated on the side of Austria are called Central Powers. So what are the Central Powers? Germany, Italy, Austria. Okay, these are called Central Powers. Okay, and other block it is what allied powers instead. So Central Powers they got upper hand over the allied powers in the beginning of the war. When war started in 1914, in the initial stage, Germany, Italy, then Austria. Okay, these nations were getting success in the initial stage, and due to the internal revolution when war was going in 1917, we will discuss that in the latter class, in 1917, an internal war broke out in Russia between the two group of people. So Russia was not able to focus in internal matter along with World War One. So it decided to withdraw from the war. So due to the civil war in Russia, Russia had withdrawn from the war in 1917. There a revolution broke out in Russia that is called Russian Revolution. We'll discuss. So due to the internal revolution in Russia, which is on the side of Allied powers, it had withdrawn from the World War One, making one peace agreement with the Germany in 1917. Okay, so that there the Axis powers were getting success. When Axis powers were getting success, there US, that means United States, America also entered into the war, giving support to the Allied countries because the Germany was with pride, it attacked on the commercial ship of America. The commercial ship of America is Lusitania. Lusitania is the commercial ship of America, which carrying the water goods from one nation to another nation. So to pull America into the war, Germany with aggressive nature attacked on the commercial ship of America, that is Louisiana, in 1917. So when America disturbed by the German troops, then America joined on the side of the Allied nations, saying that we are entering the war to end the war. America jumped into the World War One and said that they are entering into the war to end the war. So with the entry of America on the side of the Allied powers, then the victory, which was in the hands of the Central Powers till then, shifted to the Allied powers. Finally, Allied powers have got success in the war with the defeat of the water Germany. Okay, so here in this war, we see Germany was the main reason because with the ideology of Nazism, that is based on aggressive nationalism, right? They felt that they are superior. They wanted to test their power in the world and they wanted to bring the world under their control. So for that reason, German nation have expended a lot of fund on the military weapons. We have seen 79% of the military expenditure among the six powerful nations is from the water Germany, right? So Germany was a main reason for the water World War One. So after end of the World War One by 1918, there the World War ended with the defeat of the Germany. Okay. Then after the end of the World War One, all these nations, allied nations, they joined what to call a meeting called Treaty of Versailles. So with the Treaty of Versailles, they the World War One completed. Okay. So the Treaty of Versailles is a treaty. It is an agreement for ending the war. So with the defeat of the Germany, there a treaty was made with the defeated countries, especially with the Britain. Several treaties were made with the defeated countries. And this is the treaty, what you call the Treaty of Versailles. It's a treaty made with the water Germany instead. So that special treaty with the Germany made the victorious countries to establish severe conditions on the water Germany instead. So several rigid conditions imposed on the defeated powers by the allied nations. Okay, here Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman Turkey empires, which were there earlier to World War One, those were disintegrated. And from Austro-Hungarian Empire, and Ottoman Turkey Empire, several small nations came into the existence. So what I want to say here, after the end of the World War One, some changes have come. So what are that changes? One is Austro-Hungarian Empire that was dissolved. In place of Austro-Hungarian Empire, several nations have turned to independent nations. Similarly, Ottoman Turkey also dissolved and their small nations have existed. Then Germany was also one empire. It also broke up, and in place of a Germany empire, Democratic Republic was established. Ottoman Turkey Empire that was replaced by the Republic of Turkey. That means Turkey was an empire under which several small kingdoms were there. So all those small kingdoms, with the dissolve of Turkey Empire, they got independence and had their own independency. So in this way, many empires were collapsed, which were there before to World War One. All those empires were vanished. In place of empires, several nations have came into existence. Okay, and these empires which established colonies in Africa, that colonies were taken by the victorious nations. See here the German Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Turkey Empire, all these had colonies in African continent. The colonies of these empires were taken by the Allied nations. As Allied nations got success in the World War One, they taken the colonies of the Germany, Austria, and Turkey, and those colonies divided among the water victorious countries. So the Treaty of Versailles was a rigid treaty. What in the rigid treaty? Very strict conditions were laid on the water Germany. This treaty took place in 1919 in Paris. In Paris, there was a palace which constructed, which is built with the mirrors. That is called mirrored palace. So in the mirrored palace, that palace is called Versailles Palace. So at Versailles Palace, this treaty was taken. So that treaty is called Treaty of Versailles. So number of new countries emerged after the end of the World War One. So what are those countries which emerged after the World War One? Austria, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Estonia, Latvia, Finland. So these were the new nations. So far, these nations were not there before to World War One. After the World War One, these nations emerged out. Okay, and the Treaty of Versailles consisted of rigid conditions in which a heavy penalty imposed on Germany, and the conditions laid on the Germany under Treaty of Versailles are categorized into monetary terms. Which terms? Monetary. That means money related terms. So Germany was the reason for World War One. So Germany was forced to pay war indemnity. What do you mean by war indemnity? It is a loss in the war. So there was a huge loss in the World War One by the Germany. That means because of the Germany, several nations have got a loss, and that loss to be fulfilled by the Germany. Okay, this is the one condition, and this condition is called monetary condition. So several monetary terms were imposed on the Germany. Okay, to it was asked to pay war indemnity. In other words, compensation to the victorious Allied nations. And whatever the colonies Germany had, that means the territories which it kept under its control before to the World War One, taken by the Allied nations. Some of the territories of the Germany were taken to the were given to the France. That means after 1870, in Franco-Prussian War. In Franco-Prussian War, France was defeated in the hands of Germany. At that time, Germany was called Prussia. So Prussia got success, and that led to taking some territories of France to the Germany. Germany taking some territories of the France in 1870. So those territories which France had lost after 1870, those territories France got again after the end of the World War One. It means that since 1870, France was waiting to take revenge on Germany, and such a opportunity France got in World War One. So France got its territories back, which it had lost for the Germany in 1870 war. In addition to that territories, France also got some of the territories of the Germany, that is what to call Ruhr Valley. Understand? Ruhr is a valley in Germany famous for iron mines, and Saar Valley. Okay, these are the what territories of the Germany. Ruhr Valley is a territory of the Germany that was given to the France under the conditions of a treaty of Versailles, because Allied nations wanted that the Germany should be small. If it is left without rigid conditions, it may create trouble for it. So they felt fear of the Germany, and they wanted to take a preventive step from the Germany, so that they established very rigid, severe conditions on Germany under the Treaty of Versailles. So the Treaty of Versailles is a treaty consisted of rigid terms. So Germany did not like this treaty. Okay, later this treaty became the cause for World War II. Okay, there were many humiliating conditions under a Treaty of Versailles. So Germany decided to break that treaty. So breaking up the Treaty of Versailles led to the World War II. So the Treaty of Versailles become the cause for World War II. We'll discuss later. Okay. So after the end of the World War One, in order to stop such kind of dangerous wars, there is need to establish one international organization promoting for the world peace. So in 1920, there the world nations, allied nations have decided to establish a international organization for the peace, that is League of Nations. So League of Nations was created in 1920, that is in the month of 11th January, which 11th January 1920, there League of Nations was created. What is League of Nations? It is one international organization. Its work is to stop the wars and to promote the world peace. There are certain functions to the League of Nations. Okay, so it's what are its duties? Its duties are to prevent wars. If war is going to take place between any of the two nations or among the nations, such war have to be prevented. Okay, how to prevent that war? By negotiations. That means by the bilateral discussions. Okay, and they should find out a peaceful resolution for that dispute. Okay, they should settle their disputes through the negotiation. This is the first function and duty of the League of Nations. Second is that ensure disarmament. It means they should give guarantee that reduction of the arms. They should go for reducing the arms. What happens when they reduce arms? There the tension of war decreases. So to provide peace in the world, it has to see that there should be a reduction in the manufacturing of. That means it has to discourage those industries which are producing the weapons. it discouraging the what wars and encouraging the what peace. That is the what duty of the League of Nation. And it also have a function of welfare of the labors. Okay, its a function is to what develop the what all the nations and to look after the what welfare of the labor and their health. So this is a league of organization formed with 58 members. When formed, it was formed with 58 countries. 58 countries joined in League of Nations. Okay, but this League of Nations succeeded very less. There was a limit success. Okay, initially, finally, it failed to stop the war and resulted Second World War. So what I want to say here, the League of Nations tried to avert the wars, but it failed.